Alright, quick heads up to start. I'm going to be saying the word a lot in this video, as in, what the f is that crazy looking thing behind me? I've beeped out the first few as a courtesy, but if you're easily offended by 4-letter words, you're probably not going to like this video, and I recommend you stop watching now. Then again, this video is about a book that people who are offended by 4-letter words probably need to read more than most. Because let's face it, if you give a fuck about some random guy on the internet using the word fuck, then your priorities are all messed up, and you could probably do with a little instruction in the subtle art of not giving a fuck. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Now, you might think with a title like that this book advocates not giving a fuck about anything, but that would be to gloss over the subtle art bit. There's no such thing as not giving a fuck. You must give a fuck about something. The question then is, what do we give a fuck about? What are we choosing to give a fuck about? Some people give entirely too many fucks about how their favorite TV show ended, or what some random person said on Twitter, or what complete strangers think of them. The harsh reality is that we have a limited amount of fucks to give in this life, so we must choose them wisely.
I don't fucking care. It don't matter to Jesus.
Here's the plan for this video. I'm going to share with you my biggest takeaway from this book as I ramble around the fine city of Berlin. And then I'm going to give you the chance to win one of 25 copies. So my biggest takeaway from The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is all about pain and suffering.
Nobody's getting hurt.
A lot of people nowadays seem to think that life should be all happy and perfect all the time, and they try and avoid pain and suffering at all costs. But here's the thing. Avoiding pain and suffering actually makes us miserable in the long run. Psychological pain is a lot like physical pain. When you put your hand in the fire and burn yourself, that painful feedback is useful. You know not to do that again. Same thing with psychological pain. When your girlfriend dumps you, or you get bullied in school, or you get caught masturbating in public, when things like that happen, you suffer and it sucks, but that suffering can be useful. That's what motivates you to grow and change. A line from the book that really hammers this point home. If someone is better than you at something, then it's likely because she has failed at it more than you have. In other words, that person has likely endured more pain and suffering than you have. That's why they get to enjoy six-pack abs, or a thriving business, or a great relationship. They've taken on numerous challenges, failed multiple times, and learned a whole bunch of valuable lessons in the process. So the important question to ask yourself is not, what do I want out of life? A better question is, what pain do I want in my life? What am I willing to struggle for? Because true happiness occurs only when you find the problems you enjoy having and enjoy solving. So what problems do you want to have? What pain do you want to sustain? Remember, there's no such thing as not giving a fuck. You must give a fuck about something.
It's not enough to feel alone and not be heard. Don't know right from wrong, and your lines have all been blurred. Is it me, is it you, or is it something I deserve? 'Cause everyone...
I spent almost 4 years of my life traveling around the world without taking any airplanes.
We are the children of the world. We're going up, up, up. Things are coming our way. We are the children of the world. We're rising up, up, up. It's a brand new day.
I had many amazing experiences and adventures on that trip. For example, I had a magical time traveling through Iran, I went paragliding in the Himalayas, and I rode a motorcycle around a volcanic island in Nicaragua. But I also endured long periods of loneliness and self-doubt on that trip. There were times when I had to get by on very little money. I also had my life threatened more than once, and I may or may not have kissed a ladyboy. Anyway, the point is that I could never spend 44 consecutive months traveling around the world and having lots of fantastic, life-changing experiences if I wasn't willing to endure some occasional pain and suffering. Unless I was willing to accept numerous sacrifices and solve numerous problems. Problems like making money while constantly on the move, convincing a Guatemalan man not to throw rocks at me, or getting the fuck out of India without flying. Actually, a lot tougher than you'd think. And it's like that with anything worth doing in life. It's gonna suck sometimes. You're gonna fail, you're gonna suffer, you're gonna experience pain. And that's okay. Once again, as Mark writes in the book, everything worthwhile in life is won through surmounting the associated negative experience. If you shy away from those negative experiences, then you're unlikely to ever experience the positive. The gym analogy is perfect here. It's only by experiencing the pain of multiple reps and long training sessions that you get to experience better health and energy. Not to mention, look better naked. Mark calls this the backwards law and dives into it quite a bit in the book. One quick caveat. We've been talking about pain and suffering and how it's part and parcel of doing anything worthwhile. But that's not to say that all pain and suffering is valuable. Seeking out and experiencing pain and suffering for its own sake doesn't make you a better person. It just makes you a masochist.
Oh, yes! Yes!
Pain and suffering is only worthwhile when it comes as a consequence of doing something you really give a fuck about. So again, ask yourself, what pain do I want in my life? What am I willing to struggle for? There are a lot more great takeaways and insights I could share with you from the book. As you can see, I've starred and underlined and highlighted and dog-eared almost every feckin' page in here. Chapter 8 shook me up quite a bit and made me question my approach to relationships. There's a really great analogy between poker and life in chapter 5. And there's a really empowering section about taking responsibility for everything that happens to you and how that's not the same as being at fault for everything that happens to you. More importantly, there are also plenty of poop jokes in the book. And sure, what's a book anyway without a few references to the brown stuff? So in case you haven't gotten the message already, you should really read this book. Don't just take my word for it. Legendary humans such as Derek Sivers and Ryan Holiday say as much on the back cover. You can buy the book right now by clicking the link in the description of this video. As mentioned, I also have 25 fresh copies of the book to give away. If you want to win one of those, just click here and it'll take you to a page with all the details. Thanks for giving enough of a fuck about this video to watch it all the way to the end. As a reward, here's a picture of a cat not giving a fuck.